Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Black, and I'm going to give you a short speech entitled EOD, Beyond the Hurt Locker. I hunt bombs for a living. That's right. I'm an explosive ordnance disposal technician. Here's why this is important. Because active duty EOD units are the only military units by law who are authorized to deploy to the continental United States and territories in support of law enforcement agencies. I'm qualified to talk about this because I'm an EOD platoon leader here in Fort Hood, Texas. By the end of this chat, I hope you all will have a basic understanding of how EOD works and how EOD protects the weak. Let's get started. In 1940, the Germans created a new phenomenon in warfare, which was the mass bombings of civilian population centers, most notably London, England. When they were dropping their bombs, some of the bombs were designed to hit the ground and detonate. Some of them had a timer, so they would detonate when the first responders got there, and some of them just failed to detonate because of different things going on in the fuse. When the British High Command, the overarching military authority, realized what was going on, they created a new job field in the Royal Engineers, which today is known as EOD. Up until the Vietnam War, however, EOD only focused on military munitions. It didn't really have an improvised threat or booby trapping going on. But the jungles of Vietnam changed all that, and EOD had to develop new tactics, techniques, and procedures in order to deal with those threats. However, booby trapping and improvised threats weren't really the focus. Mostly they focused on military munitions. September 11th, however, changed all that. Most notably the invasion of Iraq. That led to a huge upsurge in different types of improvised threats being created. According to Staff Sergeant Bennis, an EOD team leader, and who has over a decade of military experience, many EOD techs, because of this improvised threat in Iraq and some in Afghanistan, have forgot that they are supposed to deal with military munitions first, and they only focus on that improvised threat. However, since the Army's drawing back its numbers and the wars overseas seem to be dying down, EOD is shifting back into that munitions first mindset. Now we've finished discussing history, let's talk about what's going on right now. The main threat to U.S. and Allied forces in Afghanistan is, like I said, that improvised explosive device threat. These range from simple pressure-activated devices to huge devices that attempt to take out vehicle armor. Due to a lack of oversight in the design and implementation of these devices, however, what works on one device might not work on another, and things have to change in the EOD tech's mindset in order to take care of that. Napoleon said an army marches on its stomach. This means someone has to get the supplies from the rear echelon units up to the frontline units. And the enemy knows that, so they have a tendency to place a lot of their IEDs on highly traveled roadways. This led to the Combined Arms Route Clearance Operation, or CARCO. These units are made up of combat engineers and EOD techs who will drive down these roads to either find and dispose of or function these devices. And the last major thing that EOD does overseas is that they will take care of stockpiles of either captured enemy munitions or anything that is unserviceable or unusable by Allied forces. They can become unserviceable because as time progresses, the chemicals in the warheads and the propulsion units break down and become unstable. Or sometimes indirect fire, like artillery or rocket attacks, will damage the munitions and they can't be used because of that. When that happens, EOD has to dispose of those threats. Let's quickly talk about what EOD does when they're here in America or in Allied territories. Emergency response is the main thing EOD wants to do because it's the most fun. Basically, it's like being a firefighter or an EMT. You get a call, you go out and you take care of that call, and you come back. When a piece of ordnance is found on or off base, or it fails to function as designed on a military range, or if there's an IED anywhere, EOD will get called out to take care of that. The entire nation is divided up into these response areas, so no matter where you are, there's always an EOD team ready to respond to where you are. The other mission that EOD does here is called a range clearance. These missions are multi-day operations that require huge amounts of manpower and planning in order to make work. The idea is a unit will line up and walk down this range and find every single piece of military ordnance, identify it, and then dispose of it. Let me tie all this together. Psalm 82, verses 3 and 4 says, "Give justice to the weak and the fatherless, maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute, rescue the weak and needy, and deliver them from the hand of the wicked." According to EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, that's a documentary I found on Liberty University's website, their efforts are directed towards preserving property and other lives, and in the process they must invariably gamble their own. To conclude, we discussed a brief history of EOD and how EOD protects others in either a deployed environment or at home. And remember, if you find a bomb, call EOD.